The Boss Ireland Championships run of luck with the weather this year seemed to have come to an end, with showers falling on the warm-up for race 1. But it had been a brighter outlook during the morning's qualifying. Cian Carey was fastest just inside the 50s on the national circuit at Mondello Park. Paul O'Connell was second with a low 51, so we looked set for a showdown between these two. Carey had largely sewn up the championship, but did need to make an appearance to make it certain, so the racing today was mostly for glory. The Rabbit brothers had chosen to quit while they were ahead, with Barry's great win at the end of September topping off their season nicely. Cian explained what he needed to do.
Yeah, hopefully have to just, I think, finish in the top 5 or 6, but hopefully we can get the win to cap off the season and finish the championship and stuff.
However, he wasn't completely satisfied with the setup of the car, in pursuit of an end-of-year record.
Yeah, it was a bit of a messy qualifying for me. I wasn't happy at all. The time was there, but the car felt like a little bit of a vessel. Like, the weight was on the front and rear. The weights are a little bit off again, but I'm hoping it's just the weights. I don't know whether it's a diff issue either, but the balance just wasn't there at all in that session. So hopefully we can get it fixed for the race. The time is obviously, the lap times are still coming up, but I know there's more cars capable of a lot more.
Paul O'Connell's front row qualifying position belied a curtailed session with a fuel leak.
No, we had a fuel rail problem. I only got a couple of laps in qualifying. We had a fuel rail leak, and so we got pulled in, and Brendan is going off to repair that and bring it back, and hopefully we get going for the first and second races.
Paul's thoughts were already shifting to next season and plans for himself and the Boss Series.
We have big plans for 2021, mostly, hopefully COVID willing and everything else. We're hoping to race down south and maybe take a couple of trips to Kirkeston and Bishopsport next year, regulations and everything else willing. So we have a great series planned for 2021 if it all works out. There's a load of people who've been working really hard in the background. Mondello Park and the rest of the organisers have been working really hard to try and keep things going, keep things alive. So it's great, and yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Michael Roach had a great run and was leading the second row of the grid. Was it his new suit?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, getting a bit quicker, yeah. I haven't been up in third for a long time. Yeah, so happy enough, yeah. I'm good.
It sounds like he'd laid the foundation for the lift and pace during a Friday practice.
Yeah, I've been improving. I qualified at 53.1 the last day. I think I'm on a low of 52.3, something there this morning. Got into the 52s for 6 or 7 laps yesterday, which I'd never really done before. So, and the same this morning now. So it's taken me a few laps to get into it, but yeah, look, heading in the right direction anyway. 51's next now. Sounds easy, don't it?
Fergus Faherty had a terribly disappointing day our last time out, with a car that was changing gear by itself. A 2-week marathon to get it sorted ensued, and even as late as Wednesday before this Saturday race, a solution hadn't been found.
It's been a challenge in 2 weeks to get it fixed, you know. I have to say thanks to Paul Dagg. He worked endless on it to get it fixed, you know. And the likes of the people I bought the car off, Carling Motorsport, were super helpful as well. Any parts we needed, they flew them in overnight for us, so they've been very helpful, you know. And it just really shows that if you buy a car from a team, you really have the backup from the team, you know. So thanks to them and thanks to Paul, absolutely great to back out.
In any mechanical diagnosis, a fault with the replacement part can really send you off course.
One of these here, this is another one the Carling flew in for us flew in over Thursday night for Friday morning here for us. So we had 2 of these and 2 of these were faulty. Hence we ended up changing the whole wire loom in the car, we changed the steering column, we changed the actuator, we changed absolutely everything to do with the gear shift mechanism, and still no further on. So we got the car plugged, Carling got their technician from Spain to go onto the internet and plug the car in, and he was able to solve it over the internet and find out to isolate the steering wheel is your problem, that's what you need to get. So without their help we wouldn't be here, you know.
After 2 races contemplating Michael Roach's gearbox, Joe Courtney might have liked to have qualified ahead of him this time, but it wasn't to be.
Look, Mick is flying today. Even if I had got a full qualifying session, I don't know if I would have caught him, but it would have been nice. We had a misfire. Seemed to take ages to get the back tyres to work, and had a half spin and was in a bit of traffic and just not getting heat into them, and eventually got a couple of laps to start building up the pace, and then got a misfire. So came in straight away, and I'm hoping it's a spark plug.
A lack of time to test is probably allowing a few niggling issues to interrupt his progress. There's that misfire.
Just about here today, to be honest, with the current regulations and with work and with it all coming very close together and family and everything else, just getting away for the one day is the max I can do. So we haven't been testing, which is probably shown, but look, as I said, just happy to be here and try and do every round of the championship. That was my goal. So far so good.
Beside Joe on the grid is Sylvie Mullins, who didn't have the powerful Gould with him this time.
No, we're doing the brakes. We've floating the front discs. Having trouble with braking here the last time, so we getting new discs and we're floating them, and the guy hadn't them ready, so we bring out this for the last run. I was in this at the start of the year. We said we'd give it a run. It's totally different car to drive. You nearly have to learn it again, you know. So, but it's good fun. Good fun.
It sounds like he'll be going for Gould in 2021, though, if at all possible.
Yeah, I suppose. Look, you'd have to. The Gould, I mean, it's awesome power-wise. If we can get around the corners and stop a bit better, we're going to probably go for the Gould. Definitely starting off anyway and see how we get on. You know, that's the plan.
Did he jinx us with the weather?
Look, we've been blessed both weekends now that it's dry as well. You know, it could be pouring down with rain, and you know, everyone is in a mess, as they say.
Eamon Matheson was all talked out on the phone, but he'd qualified ahead of the returning sports car of Tom Cochran. Tom had missed the last weekend, but was glad to be back.
It's good to be back. Yeah, I wish I'd have been here. Unfortunately, just couldn't. Something was pre-booked and I couldn't change it, so sorry. But it's always great to get out with these boys, you know.
He was making some progress with different tyres.
Yeah, okay, we've been really struggling with tyres, so Avon gave us a different setup and said try it, and it was consistent through the full 15 minutes, not as fast as I want to be, but it was consistent, so there was no drop off after 5 laps. So yeah, we just got to push now, have a fight with the big boys in front of me.
His son Aaron, racing in the Fiesta Z-Tex this weekend, may be an addition in the Boss Series next year.
Yeah, he is. You know, we need to get some seat time with him. He hasn't driven. He's done a lot in the UK, sprinting for a couple of years. So the challenge is to get him into Boss next year. So that'll be good for next year, you know.
Peter Dwyer gets more relaxed every time we see him, saving it all for the racing.
I'm over a second quicker than 2 weeks ago, but still not turning in right. We've changed the right platform down the back, so hopefully in the race I want to get down to 53s, 54s. I know what I need to change to get to 52s. I didn't lose any bodywork this day.
He's determined to be back next year.
I'm planning to be here next year for sure. Same spot, same place, just a year older and probably a year slower. I can't get much slower, but I know what I need to do to get quicker, and I'm knocking bits off it. New car, it handles different, and I will get used to it.
Gary Graham, with mechanical support from Ger Lunigan and advice from Paul O'Connell, was still not finding a setup he was happy with. This has been a tough season for development work, with the short breaks between the rescheduled rounds. He completed our grid of 10 for the first race. There was a shower of rain as the drivers headed out on their warm-up laps for race 1. Despite a mad dash by Brendan Stone, Paul O'Connell's car wasn't ready to run, and this meant Kerry had the championship without needing to turn a wheel. With so many drivers out on slicks, it seems the warm-up was red flagged to give drivers an opportunity to change tyres, and most that had them did. By the time they had headed out for a further 2 warm-up laps, the track was drying. Cian Carey, now after changing, decided to pit again for dry weather tyres, as did Fergus Faherty. They'd have to start from the pit lane leaving the remainder of the grid go first. When the race finally got going, Roach was the first to appear at the end of the straight. Tom Cochran briefly up to second, but outbraked by Mullins into turn 1. Courtney fourth ahead of Matheson, Dwyer closing up on the Jade, with Gary Graham following. They're already settling into position by turn 2. But look, Farty starting behind on slicks has spun. He's really going to be behind now, and no sign of Carey yet. The pack heads through the S's, and only now does our new champion get going. Taking it easy on the cool damp track, he could be lapped. Mullins is in tight on race leader Roach. Tom Cochran in third. It was worth coming back. Joe now has a sports car to look at. The conditions didn't favour one of Matheson's famous starts. Dwyer sixth, he remained on slicks. That's Carey in 9th place, while Sylvie challenges for first going into the S's. Cochran third, Courtney fourth. Peter Dwyer is closing up on Eamon Matheson on this lap 2. Gary Graham is 6th. At the beginning of lap 3, Carey is still struggling to get temperature into those tyres. Roach, followed by Mullins, is immediately behind. No change for 3rd, 4th, 5th or 6th. It's fascinating to see how the groove tyres are behaving on the apparently dry track. Cochran still has distance over Courtney, as does Matheson over Dwyer. By the beginning of lap 4, Carey has had to let the leaders off, an ignominious way to celebrate his title. Cochran and Courtney seem to be stretching ahead of Matheson and Dwyer. Roach has had plenty of practice defending position in the last couple of races. Sylvie is going to keep working on him though. Joe is a little bit closer to Tom's Radical. Going into the S's on lap 5, Carey looks to be building speed. Cochran goes very wide, and Courtney takes advantage. There's little change between Eamon's Jade and Peter's Lola. Unseen, Fergus Faherty moved up ahead of Gary Graham by lap 4. Now starting 6, Roach and Mullins still have Carey a lap down. Joe Courtney still keeping touch with Tom Cochran. Those groove tyres are starting to squirm under the lead 2 cars. This appears to be where the Dallara gains on the Radical. Behind Gary Graham, Mullins mounts an attack on Roach. But sadly, this looks like the end of Courtney's challenge on Cochran. Probably that misfire back to haunt. Mullins not able to capitalise on passing the back marker. That was a real overtake for Carey, up 1 position now. Third looks secure for Tom Cochran. That's a shame for Courtney. Sylvie looks like he has an inside line on Roach heading into the country on lap 8, but it doesn't come to anything. Carey gets well up inside Mullins on the last corner, but the F305 must have learned some tricks from the Gould, as Sylvie's still ahead at the end of the straight. At the beginning of lap 9, Roach seems to be making a bit of a margin. Cochran coming up on Graham. Carey dropping back into the S's again. Is he thinking of doing a flying lap for a record? Matheson still going well in the self-built Jade. Lap 10, Roach is really consolidating his lead. Carey has plenty of space in front to put in a quick one. Our top two really pushing onto the curbs. Nothing is settled yet. Dwyer still running well. Lap 11, Keane definitely looks like he's building up for a record attempt. But who's that behind him on track? That's Fergus Faherty, who's quietly made his way back up to third ahead of Cochran. The two leaders go by with Carey in tow. Surely Fergus won't make it all the way up to Sylvie after that terrible start. Talking of terrible starts, Carey has unlapped himself from Mullins at the beginning of 12. Faherty is rejoicing in his fully operational car again. Carey looks keen to get ahead of Roach. Now the slicks must finally be coming into their own. By the first corner of lap 13, Carey is back on the lead lap. He can go for some quick ones now. Behind Mullins, we can see the real distance back to Faherty. Eamon Matheson doesn't look to be on full pace there. Michael Roach in first, Sylvie second, but in the background that's Faherty on slicks chasing Mullins' flashing light. Dwyer has just passed Cochran into fourth. Carey has just completed his fastest lap at 52.263. Roach and Mullins look to be flexing their rubber. Faherty is closing fast. That's nearly half the distance in a lap. Peter Dwyer has built an advantage over Tom Cochran. Carey coming up to pass Gary Graham at the back of the field. Roach leads. Mullins with Faherty beginning to appear in his mirrors now. At least Graham's car is running well, and the issues can be ironed out. As the top three head into the S's, there are spots of rain falling again. Could the weather halt Faherty's ascent? Peter Dwyer must be happy with his race so far. Fourth. But that's Carey approaching Cochran fast. Matheson has a problem, but he's going to try and limp to the flag. In the background you can see Faherty up to second, challenging first. This will be our last lap. What an incredible comeback. The rain is back. Can he hold second on slicks? Graham leaves him plenty of room as the three pass with the conditions worsening. The last corner, another spin would throw it all away chasing first. As they roll down from the finish, it looks like Mullins nearly caught him on the straight. After the race, we find out that Roach received a penalty from the start. So incredibly, Faherty wins. Here's the result. Eamon Matheson would need a tow back in. That's the last we'd see of him for the day. In the pit garage, a slightly stunned Fergus Faherty recounts the race.
We went out on slicks on the first lap and I pulled in and we put on the wets. Then it was red flagged and we went out again on the wet tyres for the race to start again. I done my first out lap and I said this is too dry for wet tyres. I'll come in and put on slicks and start from the pit row. So start from the pit row and started from the drama, started from there, you know. Went out to turn 1 and spun it on the first lap out, and then I was nearly full lap down and I said let's put down the head here, let's try and get a few laps together here and see what we can do. I couldn't see anybody, everybody was gone completely out of sight, so I said we'll keep plugging away, try and do as quick a laps as possible for us to the end up to the checkered flag, you know. So I got to pass all the cars up, I got to pass Sylvie there in the last 2 laps. I caught up to Michael Roach as well. Michael finished ahead of me on the road, but I think he got a couple of grid penalties for a jump start and a wrong grid position, so that gave him a 10-second penalty, so I finished right up beside him, side by side, so it gave me the win, you know.
Did he even know when he caught Sylvie and Roach that they were the leaders?
I didn't. I said, I've blown this. And I wonder why I said I've blown it was because I spun in turn 1. I said I have to give him about 20 seconds away more. And I says, I thought Keane was leading it, and it wasn't until I came in to say, well, Michael Roach has won it, you know, and then it said that I won it, so it was a bit of a mixed bag for a few minutes, but it was exciting. It was a brilliant race to drive. It was nearly like a qualifying lap every lap, because turn 1 was still extremely slippy, you know, and nearly spun it there a few times after that.
What a reward for the hard work over the previous fortnight.
Yeah, no, we had a tough time at the last week. We didn't even get to do a lap. So to come out and get a win this weekend, it's brilliant, you know, absolutely brilliant. And thanks to the lads, Paul and all the other guys around us, give us a dig out to change the wheels so quickly. So I could be out there for the start from pit road to get going, you know. So it was brilliant effort by everybody.
So what happened to our pole sitter?
It was such a messy start, and I was obviously going from pole, and my kind of main thing was when I knew I'd won the championship is, right, there's no point trying to go down for a win, let's try and get the lap record that I've been looking for all year. It just didn't quite dry enough. We came in for slicks. We should have probably come in on the first green flag lap. We came in on the second. The lights had gone out by the time I was coming down the pit lane nearly. So we were always going to be a lap down, but it was mainly just trying to get the lap record there. But it just never dried quite enough. But hopefully it stays one condition for the next one, either wet or dry, and we can, please God it's dry, and we can have a good attempt at it then.
Michael Roach was fairly philosophical with losing out on a technicality.
I suppose, yeah, first on the road, I suppose, but look at the rules are rules, that's the way it goes. But I had a good race, I enjoyed it, and look, it's nice to be up in the sharp end for once, but it was a bit of a funny kind of a race. I don't know whether the boys made the right or wrong choice to went for slicks, and it was a hard call. But, it was a good race with Sylvie there, and it was close at the end anyway. Disappointing maybe about the penalty, but look, we have another race, haven't we?
He changed his tyres just before the race.
I did, yeah. Paul and the lads, fair play there, changing Abbey, got stuck in and changed the wheels, but I couldn't turn around and ask him to change them again. No, it looked to me like it was wet all the way, but then of course it dried, so it was so changeable. Lucky enough it came raining just at the end, and I think that kind of slowed Fergus enough to get me over the line, but now I know he won it, fair play. But anyway, it was still a good battle, good crack. So look forward, we could have a dry race, it'd be nice.
Brendan Stone had returned just 20 minutes before the start, but the repair just didn't hold, unfortunately.
We had just a little bit of a slight weep left, and the fuel rail was still weeping just an ever so slight bit. So despite the best efforts, just couldn't seal it properly, and we said look, it was safer to, you know, just to leave it as it was. So we've done another bit of work in the meantime. Brendan's been working hard on it, and we're hoping, fingers crossed, that it'll hold pressure this time.
A second repair still didn't hold pressure, and Paul and his crew were left to help out others in the pit lane. I'd just like to note the excellent adherence to public health guidelines in these shots, while observing from a distance. I'm proud to be associated with such a responsible sport. A few delays during the day meant that the last race of the season was going to be held with the evening light drawing long shadows across the track. This was our grid, and fortunately for this race, everyone starting was doing so from the track. numbers greatly diminished by a demanding season, it was an achievement for everyone just to be on this grid. 5 seconds to go before our 15-minute race. Off they go. Peter Dwyer looks to be stranded at the back of the grid. Roach and Flaherty make great starts, going past Carey. Gary Graham gets away very well against Tom Cochran, but the power of the Radical wins out by the first corner. Dwyer eventually gets going. He'll have fun chasing them down. Flaherty makes a huge dive past Roach into the final turn. Side by side onto the straight, there's nowhere for him to go but the grass, and Carey picks up his second place. Joe Courtney and Sylvie Mullins slip through as the comeback king gathers himself up. Cochran blasts down the straight, 6th, followed by Graham and Peter Dwyer, with ground to make up. Starting lap 2, Joe is 3rd from Mullins, 4th, and Flaherty 5th. I think Gary will hear Peter coming. At the end of that lap, Michael is in defence mode against Carey. Surely he can't keep this up for a race distance. Joe gets to put what he's learnt from Michael into practice with Sylvie. Tom Cochran looks secure in 6th, which can't be said for Gary Graham, who spins under pressure from Dwyer. He tips the pit wall, but not too hard. Gary was up for a race, but the grip just wasn't there. A disappointing way to finish the season. But who knows, it could be a good winter for development. The red flags come out and this race will be restarted. Late in the day, and the marshals are still on their toes to help out. Paul O'Connell comes over to offer consolation. The pickup is swift and the car whisked away to the paddock. The remaining cars retake their grid positions before a further 2 warm-up laps. Tough for those who'd made headway earlier on to go back to their original positions. This will now be a 12-minute race. If there are much more interruptions, we'll need lights. Five seconds to go. Michael Roach makes a great start again, but he doesn't bring Flaherty through this time. Sylvie struggles to get going, and Peter Dwyer makes a good avoidance of him. At the end of the first lap, it's Carey's turn to make a big dive past Roach, but you just don't get the line from that manoeuvre. Flaherty is 3rd, with Courtney 4th. Cochran 5th, while Mullins makes a move on Dwyer. Around turn 1 and the Radical is pulling in. That'll surely bring out the flags. No move from Keane this time. Flaherty is ready to fill any void he might leave. Joe Courtney isn't far behind our leading trio. Sylvie Mullins is a bit further back in 6th. This is the best place to listen to that V6. The top 3 hasn't changed at the end of the 3rd lap, but Mullins has made up a lot of ground on Courtney. The yellows are being waved now. This will tighten things up for Dwyer. He passes the stricken Radical as marshals rush in to move it to a safer place. The safety car, with its plastic divider screen between the front seats, leads our remaining 6 to complete lap 4. Seven and a half minutes to go. Paul O'Connell streaming from the pit wall. The safety car pulled in and we'll be racing again from the beginning of lap 6. No change to the order. It's Roach, Carey, Faherty, Courtney, Mullins and Dwyer. We continue on just as before those safety car laps. The top 3 tight and Mullins beginning to put Courtney under pressure. Keane tries another one of those dives. He'd love to finish the season on a win. Roach would love to make up for the day's earlier disappointment. At the end of lap 8, Carey is halfway past Roach entering the last corner, but manages to switch his attack to the inside and gets halfway alongside onto the straight. But there is a good pace in Michael Roach's F306 and he manages to close the door on the first corner of 9. Over the crest, Mullins is having a look past Courtney. There's just over 3 minutes left as Dwyer crosses the line. No big move from Carey this time, so Faherty has a look past him for the outside of turn 1, keeping the pressure on. Joe is a little bit of comfort ahead of Sylvie. That Nissan motor has taken the season in its stride, running sweetly to the end. Lap 10 and Carey has finally made it past Roach. He will get to do a couple of laps of honour at the end of this uniquely challenging year. Sylvie is back having a go at Joe. Was he lulling him into a false sense of security a lap ago? From the land of the rising sun, is the Lola's engine a charm against the sunset? Out on his own with clear track ahead, Carey is chasing that lap record, but it's unlikely the track temperature is ideal at this time of day in October. He sets a 51.745. Roach and Faherty look very evenly matched. Mullins looks like he has a tow from Courtney and he slingshots all the way around the outside onto what will be the final lap. Peter Dwyer completes lap 11 as Cian Carey comes in to finish the race with his fastest lap at 51.410. Not a record, but still a great way to end the season. Roach is second, which will greatly add to his championship result. Faherty third, a good day for him. Sylvie fourth, ahead of Joe, who seems to have solved that misfire. Dwyer finishes on the lead lap as we look back at where Cian took the lead of the race and review the final positions. this is how the championship worked out. Back in the pit lane, we talked to Cian Carey, who just managed to top the season as he'd wanted to.
Once I got going, once I got by him, I was absolutely gone. But his car was triple the width everywhere and just went defensive. I didn't know how much. I've never raced Michael before. I didn't know how much room I was going to be given in places when I tried to go around the outside. But there was one that I got just along kind of my front wheel alongside his back one, and I said I'm going for it around the outside of the S's, and made it stick. I was being like, the gap that I was going for on the exit of the S's was getting smaller and smaller, but I think I nearly might have had a wheel on the grass. But I made it work, and it was a great way to finish off with a win for the last race of the season.
That lap record might be something to chase next year, but for now, congratulations were in order.
So congratulations on the Boss Championship 2020. You must be delighted.
Yeah, it's nice to finish the year as the champion and with a win. Obviously disappointed, would have loved to have won the Leinster Trophy. That's the big one in Irish motorsport, but please God we'll get another crack at that next year. But I have to give a big thanks to all the Boss Ireland lads and everyone that's behind the scenes and yourselves. You've done a great job organising everything all year, and we just turn up and have to drive, and especially to the two lads, Shane and Neil. They've been absolutely unbelievable all season. The work they put in, like from a Friday to Saturdays or Sundays, is just second to none, and the car has ran perfectly all year, no mishaps. So back into the garage now for the winter and get stuck into it and hopefully bring out a better car next year.
It was great in the difficult season to actually get as much mileage as he did out of the Boss Series, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, we've been in England for the last couple of years, so it's nice to finally. I didn't think I was going to be doing anything this year, so to get some sort of mileage under my belt and some seat time has been nice. Obviously going to come back next year to do this championship if COVID's still in the world, but if not, I'd like to have a crack maybe at some European stuff with F3s. There's an Italian F2000 series. I'd like to have a crack at them and have a few goes around Spa and Monza and places like that just to enjoy it. And if that doesn't happen, we'll have another go at this Boss Ireland Championship next year.
Well, best of luck with that, and you're always welcome back here at home as well.
Cheers, thanks a million.
We caught up with Boss Ireland Championship coordinator David Smith remotely for a final word on the season.
Hello, I'm David Smith, class coordinator for Formula Boss Ireland. Now that we've come to the end of the season, I just thought I'd say a few words to everyone. It was a difficult season with no racing at the start, and then all of a sudden we got going, and it was great that guys were able to get their cars together and get out. I know it was difficult. We had 4 weekends with 7 rounds of the championship and the Leinster Trophy. Indeed, some great pressure was put on the guys at a couple of times where they only had 1 weekend off between races, and this is great pressure in keeping cars prepared. Even the simplest cars is a lot of work. I'd like to thank Mondello Park for their efforts in making the circuit as safe as possible for us, and then also the officials and the marshals, who without them we couldn't exist. Vantage Point Video and Gregor News looked after all our PR work and kept the information flowing out to the general public via our website and Facebook pages. I'd like to congratulate Cian Carey for winning the overall Formula Boss Ireland Championship, Peter Dwyer for winning the Boss 1 Championship, and then by virtue of the fact that Cian won the overall championship, Michael Roach takes the Boss 2 Championship. The Pre-2000 Championship was won by Mark Dempsey. Our sponsors I really would like to thank, especially our title sponsor Finstown Castle Hotel, for their efforts and help with us over the last 2 years. We remain to see what happens for next year, but hopefully things will work out for them in the hospitality and they can stay with us. Long-time sponsor Dalco Engineering, First Class Fireplace, and Dan Daly Engines, of course, have been with us and keeping us going too over a long time. More recently, Cricora Mills, and then this year Murray Motorsport with VP Fuels have come on board. This has been a great asset with supplying fuel to all the lads. Without these support of all these sponsors, things would be very different, because we need all support for paying for awards, etc. Now that the season has finished, all that's left is to just look at next year for sponsors and dates, but that's something to be done over the winter. Do keep in touch with us via our website and Facebook page, and do please stay safe. Thank you.